All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, the Herschel Talkers presents another episode of the College Football Hour, covering football from coast to coast. How we doing tonight, guys?
Pretty good, man. Pretty good.
Doing good.
I'd like to once again give a major thank you to talkingdawgs.com for allowing us to post our content, keep our listeners apprised of what's going on. That's talk, letter N, and then dogs, DAWGS.com. Sign up for a subscription there to talk about all things Georgia Bulldogs related.
Yes, sir. It's a great sponsor. Coffee shop. They got Commit to the G with National Recruiting Day coming up next week. All kind of good stuff. They got the forum film study where we get to post our stuff here. But yeah, we really appreciate the partnership. Check them out. And jumping right into it. I don't really know what to say. All the verbs. Georgia's got blasted, beat down, dismantled, whatever. Embarrassed.
Humiliated, humbled, all the above.
Exactly. 41-24. Didn't see this coming. If you would have told me they would have put Friday night, if you had told me they were going to hang 41 on that defense, I said, what are you smoking? I want it all. But Bryce Young, 421 yards, 3 touchdowns, definitely won the Heisman. I think they just got enough of a running game. You got to give it to Brian Robinson, gutting it out. He still got 16 carries, 55 yards. He was questionable. Jamison Williams, after that 67-yard touchdown, is off to the races, 184 yards, 2 touchdowns. Mechie, he looked great until he tore his ACL. But, yeah, what's the initial thoughts? Just I know we're a little later in the week reacting, but just still just beat down.
I mean, I definitely didn't see this score coming at all. But I did call, like, you have to cover Jamison Williams. And
yeah.
I'm dumbfounded on the coaching decisions on defense. Like, Stetson had his flaws, and as a QB, you're going to get more blame than you're going to get. And just like you're going to get more credit for wins than you're supposed to. Mm-hmm. But my God, a guy that hadn't started all year, playing the star position, which in my opinion is the most important position in the secondary on our defense. And he was the cause for basically half their yards. Like a lot of the long conversions, that first touchdown. And you don't want to beat up on the kid, but some of the stuff was just what are you doing?
Is that William Poole?
Yeah, Poole.
Okay. That's one of mine out there too. It's what's 30? Yeah. What's 31 doing out there?
And the crazy thing is I've been saying this since last year that hey, we can't let Brini be out there against a team that can throw the ball and exploit him in that slot. But as soon as I saw Poole out there with the starters pregame, I got a little nervous. I was like, there's a reason this guy hasn't been playing for 5 years. And it showed. Maybe it is that he has a talent, but mentally he's not there. He doesn't have it between the ears to understand when the bullets are firing, what to do. And I think that hurt us. Sending that. I didn't expect it to send the house, but this is a team that struggled with picking up 5-6 man blitzes, and we were sending 4 people and letting Bryce take his time. And I have no earthly idea why we had Devontae Wyatt spying him. Yeah. It made no sense to me. He's probably our best interior pass rusher from a technique and efficiency standpoint. But to have him in space, of all people, trying to, keep up with Bryce Young. I saw him hit the ground and touch earth, as they say in basketball, at least twice on long runs by Bryce. So it's just when somebody's the smartest guy in the room. It was our entire defensive staff decided they wanted to be the smartest guys in the room and forget that football is very simple. And those are my thoughts.
Yeah, and how about back to the defensive line? That's what really got me is what happened to 99 Jordan Davis? Where was Jalen Carter? And do you think maybe they got gassed a little bit? Because I mean, they got those viral videos that kind of Jordan Davis just kind of pushed and quit. And do you think maybe they just got their will broken? And do you think it was like a mental lapse in this game? Like they got down. I mean, felt like when it was 10-0 and Darnell Washington got touchdown, like we got it and and then that 3rd and 2. And I almost feel like Josh Pate for 247, his podcast, he said Georgia got punched after that 7, and you could feel the air come out of the room, and they scored again. They saw their blood, and in a fight, they just couldn't recover. For the first time, they saw their blood. And, they've always dominated in all the games. And, Bama was battle tested, which we knew they would be. But what do you think what happened with the D-lines? What was the shocker for me? I'm like, where's the pressure? No sacks when the week before 7, against a converted center from tackles at like the 3rd center they said they had.
Yeah. So I'll answer that backwards. Yep. The punch, the blood, I made that same analogy this week. Like I felt like our defense tasted their own blood, but our offense didn't help them off the ground. In my opinion, you have to play complementary football, and you can't keep going 3 and out. And I think from that perspective, it mentally just started getting to them. Like they allowed them to score 5 straight drives. And there's something to it, like people are like, oh, George should be getting more snaps. There's a difference between practicing and then playing and having to play snaps with a lot of energy and a lot of effort and straining. And I think Jordan, I don't remember how many snaps he played, but he's not built for that. He's not built to play series after series. And they weren't letting us off the field. And we'll probably get into this later, but I wish we would stop substituting so much. And I think that's what hurt us. We substituted so much, and they didn't, and that gassed us. And that made when they say when you get fatigued, you lose all type of I forget what the thing is, but like basically you forget what you're supposed to do. You lose all composure when you're fatigued. And it felt like our defense lost their composure when they got tired.
Hey, what's that Jimmy Johnson quote, Sean? You always like to say?
Well, it's Jimmy Johnson quoting Vince Lombardi, fatigue will make a coward of you.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, and I felt like they finally like settled down in the second half, and the offense just didn't help them. Like it was just like, Jesus Christ, like what else do you want us to do? Like we've stopped them from scoring. Like go score.
So looking back, I know a little bit about defenses. You probably know better than I do. So they were just saying like, all right, so Auburn the week before they ran man, right, and got 7 sacks, and LSU held them to 20. Mm-hmm. Like what were we doing, or what were they did? I know they tried some different things. I heard like on the different breakdown videos. But why weren't they really trying man? And then going forward, can they fix this? And will it be if we play?
That's the thing though. This year we've played a lot of zone in comparison to other years. And I think that's because we were trying to hide our lack of talent back there with regard to playing man. When you think about our safeties, I don't think any of those guys are fast, in my opinion. I'd say Chris Smith is maybe a high 4.5, low 4.6 guy. I would say Sean is probably about a mid 4.6 guy. Kendrick might be a 4.5 guy. Ringo is just young, and he doesn't have technique. Brini and Poole, not fat. I wouldn't consider those fast guys either. And so we've been playing a lot of zone, which if you can get home, it's amazing. But if you don't get pressure, it's a terrible defense to be in. Because people are going to pick you apart because people are going to find open voids, and you're going to be wrong eventually. And so, yeah, Auburn and LSU typically played man, and that's what they played. And when you play man and you put your hands on people, I think that was the biggest thing. We weren't disrupting routes. We were giving too many free releases. Giving too much cushion, and when you do that and you don't get pressure, people are going to be open. along with the mental bust. And so I think in the second half they adjusted and started playing more man, more match zone. If somebody runs into your zone, that's your man, you go with it. And started sending more people. And that, I think Bryce was 8 for 20 with no touchdowns or something after we went to man and blitzed them more. So I could see, foreshadowing in the next matchup. That's something we're going to do, especially because Mechie's not going to be there. And I don't, they got some talent, but I don't know that talent is going to be Mechie level as far as being consistent and being, a grinder, because that's what he is. He's not. I wouldn't consider Mechie a elite receiver, but he's that guy. He's like Chris Godwin,
right,
for the Bucks, right?
Sure.
Nobody considers Chris Godwin an elite receiver, but if you don't pay attention to him and you focus all your attention on Mike Evans, he'll eat you alive. Yeah. And that's what Mechie is. I don't think that they have anybody else that's that guy.
Right. And how about the thing about we'll move over to offense. This Kirby even said that we didn't even practice going against the run, and they still had more rushing yards than us. I heard that this week, that they knew they were going to pass, and we kind of didn't practice run contain, which was interesting. I think I heard that, and they
run
did
contain or run defense.
I guess run defense. Just kind of like almost like. Touched on a little bit, but it wasn't really a big focus because they knew they were just going to air it out, which was interesting. And they did just enough to keep them honest and actually outrushed Georgia for 4 points.
Well, I mean, I think a lot of that was Bryce, because if you pull the stats back up, they ran for 71 yards.
He had 13 yards a carry. I thought I saw.
That was 115. Yeah. And then he
had. They ran for 76 yards.
He had 40 though. Yeah.
Out of on 22 carries, they had 76 yards from the running backs, right? It's those runs where we have a defensive tackle spying a shifty little dual threat quarterback, and then you get your ass handed to you, right? Because I mean, at the end of the day, they weren't going to run on us with their running backs. I think Trey Sanders got his 14 yards on the last long drive that they had before the end of the game. I think Brian Robinson might have had his in the fourth quarter as well. But other than that, if you take those carries away, you got 15 carries for 40 yards, 5 carries for 7 yards. They didn't do much on the ground when the game was in, when it mattered. They ate us up through the air, which is something I've been telling Dog fans since the beginning of the year. As a DB, I knew our DBs were suspect. You got a redshirt freshman. You got a guy that got ate alive by Jameson Williams last year. And you got Scene, who I love to death. I think he's a headhunter, and I understand it. But I don't want him in coverage on anybody, right? And Mechie exposed him last year, in my opinion. And so it was something you could see coming a mile away if we weren't able to get pressure. And I told people we were not going to get 5.5 sacks because that's just not who we are. We weren't going to send the house. That's not what we do. But I thought we would at least try to give them a different look, and it seemed like we tried to do the same thing over and over and over again, and it wasn't working.
Right.
Yeah. Well, I guess what types of things, I guess if we could go back in time and adjust. I know you mentioned playing more man to man. Mm-hmm. Who do you think should have spied on Bryce Young?
Hate to say his name, Adam Anderson. That, people underestimate how much that really is hurting our defense. But I would have had Trayvon spying, Nolan, because I love Nolan, but until he starts producing off the edge with sacks, I'm sending other people. Because the production is just not there, man. But you have to have somebody that's athletic that can move their feet and not fall all over themselves if he gives them a move. It just didn't make any sense to me. It seemed like they would get there and stop. Yeah. They would be like, oh, we want to keep him in containment, and he just shoot up through the middle somewhere, or scramble outside and make somebody fall on the ground. But yeah, I definitely, if we're going to spy him, you want to send the Kobe, you want to send, Tyndall if he's out there, then you need to have somebody like Nolan spying, have somebody like Trayvon spying that's a little bit more athletic, that's going to make him have to, really make them miss.
About the Chaz Chambliss guy, somebody brought up him. They snuck him in there. Do they like him, or how could the Monden guy be? I know he's young. I mean, he's athletic, right? Or
they're young, man. So you got to. I mean, yeah, you can put them in there. I don't know how effective they'll be. Maybe we'll. I mean, and we don't have any warm-up games to see how that looks, right? Yeah, I just don't know that putting those freshmen in is going to make that big of a difference. I think Chambliss got in there because people were tired and not being effective. And they knew I guess they felt like the game was over at that point. They didn't want anybody to get hurt. But yeah, I don't see Chambliss being athletic enough, in my opinion, laterally, to be effective as a spy. I can see Munden or Sori spying him. I honestly didn't understand why we didn't put speed in there at star. He's a big guy and fast, and the thing that killed me about what Kirby said about Poole was he's a corner by nature, and I'm like, well, you have a better corner on the sideline, so why didn't you play him if you wanted somebody to be a corner in that position? Like, it didn't make any sense. I was like, what? No. And I'm pretty sure he's repped at star. So why didn't you put that guy in? Yeah.
And then talking about the offense, did put up 24 points. Ironically, I think everybody's talked about it was the exact same score from last year, 41-24. So it almost makes you look like, hey, did we get any better? Bennett was 29-48, 340, 3 touchdowns, 2 picks, pick 6 hurt, and then the one in the red zone. And I think everybody knew if he throws in the 40s, we got problems. He's not built that way, and we're not built to come from behind.
Yeah.
Bowers is a beast, great game, but I think they targeted him like 16 times. Maybe he was staring him down too much and forcing throws.
Yeah, that's why we got picked off.
Yeah.
The thing, like, if you look at the numbers year over year, it's a vast improvement. Last year, 18 for 40. This year, 29 for 48. So he's still over. This year's over 60%, 340 yards, 3 touchdowns. It's the 2 picks, man. The 2 picks killed us. And he had a near pick at the beginning of the game that should have been pick 6.
Bad.
And then you had a 4th down conversion where he just threw it to nobody. I think for me, what was disheartening was he threw that pick in the 3rd quarter, and that was 3 points off the board, which then forced our hand on 4th down. That's another 3 points off the board. So you take those 6 points off the board, the game at that point, the game would have been 23-31, right? That's a much more manageable game. And I feel like, as much as I blame Stetson for not, performing at a level that we needed him to in the second half, nobody thought he was going. That's not who he is. So that's on the staff, right? I'm sitting there asking myself, there is a 5-star quarterback sitting on the bench that is built to throw the ball and make those decisions, and you guys have him still sitting on the bench. Please tell me what's going on here. Like, what is going on? Has he failed a drug test? Did he slap Kirby's mama? Like, what is going on that this kid is not playing? Like, did he quit and we just don't know? Like, everybody knows that Beck is probably going to be in the portal, so he's not going to get any meaningful snaps when it matters. But we haven't heard anything like that about JT. So why is he not playing?
And then transition to that real quick, I was going to ask, got to get a picture of him.
Yeah, we got. You seen the Wolverine? Like, we need the Wolverine meme.
Oh yeah,
When he mentioned the picture of JT.
All right. So what's your gut telling you? I mean, is there a chance to see play down the rest of the year? You think it's Bennett's team? What do you think? Because there's a lot of chatter. I almost feel like Georgia fans are trying to will this in. And I know Kirby's stubborn as hell,
Mhm.
but I don't think we see him. I mean, I want to see him bad, but I don't think we see him at all the rest of the year.
Um,
Any chance? Any Dumb and Dumber reference here?
my brain says he's not going to play. Because people are who they show you they are, right? So if they didn't pull Stetson in the biggest game of the year when we were down 2 scores, they didn't pull Stetson after he threw the 2 interceptions. They're not going to do it now, in my opinion. My heart wants him though.
Oh yeah,
because the football mind knows that that's the better for what we're going to have to do. That's the better guy. Now, if he wants to, because that's the rumor out there that he doesn't want to play, or his family doesn't want him to play, or if Kirby and staff has decided they're not playing him for whatever reason because they can't trust him, or whatever the reason is, it just doesn't make sense. It's like that's a remove your head from your rectum type thing, like on both sides. Whoever's fault it is, somebody's head got to come out of the rectum, in my opinion.
So let's just say Stetson early in the Michigan games, where it takes a shot, gets concussed, rolls ankle. Would they still put him in there? Because it making it sound like, oh, where's my helmet at, coach? Do I go in? Was it one of those? Is he ready?
I mean, I think he's gonna go in. If there's an injury, God forbid, because I would never wish injury on a player. Yeah. He's gonna have to play because they're not gonna put Beck in, and they're not gonna put in Vandegrift. So at that point, he's gonna have to play.
Has there been I know for a while there?
Would you like wish a real bad case of food poisoning to make it happen?
I wouldn't even do that. I would wish a stub toe or like
turf toe or something.
A mild ankle sprain or something. Yeah. You know, like a very mild ankle sprain that, or like he sprained his thumb. He can't hold the ball well. I don't know. Yeah, but I don't want to wish any viruses on anybody. Not in this climate.
This environment, yeah. I got you.
So I know going up to it, I know last time he really played was Missouri, and I knew when he handed the ball off at Tech was a bad sign. So I mean, is he at least getting reps?
I mean, he's getting reps at practice from everything I've read. I think there's this narrative out here that JT isn't getting his spot back because he isn't lighting it up in practice. He's rusty. Thing is, JT's never been a practice guy. He's never been an elite practice guy. I call them practice All-Americans. That's not his thing. But between the lines in the classroom, he's elite. And if you're expecting him to be somebody he never was in practice, then he's never going to play, right? I think I saw something where somebody was like, if you saw, there was a point where Matt Corral was committed to USC and they pulled his offer for JT Daniels. But people were confused because Corral was better than JT Daniels in that setting. But it's what he does pre-snap, post-snap, and in the film room and in the classroom, he understands the concepts. Like there's a reason Stetson runs to him after every drive is done because the guy gets it. So I don't see how me as a coach with good conscience could leave that guy on the sideline.
Right. What's your thoughts, Sean? I know you've been frustrated about it, and Kirby can't invest in quarterbacks or get development.
Well, I mean, I think it's just it's lost opportunity in a lot of ways. I think he did a fantastic job of kind of painting the broad strokes of the pictures. I think it's just lost opportunity. I mean, we knew JT Daniels had an injury issue. I think in the Clemson game, I think it was pretty obvious with how they toned down his throws that there was something wrong. And opportunity really allowed us time to develop Carson Beck, Brock Vandegrift. Certainly the point that we could figure out if these guys were going to be, attributes or not. I mean, I think if you do the math, right? I mean, there was at least 4 to 6 actual game times that, you could have given them the snaps just because of how much we were ahead, and we just didn't do it. And it's puzzling. It's just, I think Kirby's just got this philosophy and this ego about him that he wants defense to still be the element that wins championships. And it still does to some extent, but he's got to stop looking at quarterbacks as, a risk to be mitigated, and really just invest in the fact that they're what wins football games now. Because I think the horses are there otherwise. It's just, we're not really built, to score a lot of points. We're not built to come from behind. And I think Alabama did a pretty good job of just kind of, of exposing, Stetson Bennett's limits, and it's not his fault. I mean, I think anybody would be happy, or should be consider themselves proud if you were to look at his actual ability versus what he actually, got from those gifts. I mean, you have to give him like a 10 out of a 10 from that standpoint. But that said, those gifts still aren't enough to get you where you want to be. And you've got other players in the system that would, stand a better chance to do that. And it's just, I don't get it. I mean, he has no problem playing all these other freshmen at every other position other than quarterback. I mean, he's just kind of got to get over that phobia.
You know what? I don't want to take up for Kirby this week because I feel like this loss lays at his feet. I don't think that's the case, that he has his phobia about playing the best player. There's something up that we do not know. So I think it would be unfair to say like he doesn't want to win, because at the end of the day, Kirby wants to win more than probably anybody. But there's something here that I think is not a phobia. There's a pride, ego, stubbornness, something that needs to be water under the bridge type deal that's going on here. And we don't, like, to be fair, we don't know which side that's coming from, but it just doesn't make any sense. I was talking to a buddy this week and I said, if this is a JP issue, because I mean, I'm pretty sure you guys have heard the rumors about it being a mental health thing, which to me, it actually makes a lot of sense. His mentor died earlier this year. He's been in for the last 2+ years and the injuries are just freak injuries, like tearing your ACL the first game of the season, having to have a cleanup procedure done in the spring after that injury, your knee swelling up before you can actually play at Georgia. He talked about his own confidence issues, and then you have this injury that affects you throwing. And, there's a lot of pressure. Like I said earlier this week, there's a lot of pressure for him not to screw this up, right? Not to be the guy to screw up this elite defense. And Georgia's best chance to win the national championship in 41 years. So I could see how that would be a lot of pressure for a 34-year-old, let alone a 22-year-old kid. But to me, it's a situation of like, all right, if you are not mentally capable of doing this, and there is a lot of stress going on with you, then we're going to take you somewhere else, and we're going to, we're going to put you in an inpatient program or outpatient program and let you figure that stuff out, or you're going to play. Because at the end of the day, if you're not going to play, why are you here? Yeah. So if it's from the JT side, then either we're going to get you the help that you need and you can step away from the team and no harm, no foul. But if you're going to stay around, we have to play you, son. It's simple and plain of it. Like, you are our best option. We are not going to lose with you sitting on the sidelines if you are our best option. Right. Now, if it's on the other side, and it actually is Kirby monking them being petty because they felt like he wasn't being tough enough or whatever the case may be, then they need a pay cut. because this is stupid. Like you're getting paid millions of dollars to make the right decision,
Right.
and not to practice hubris, and so whoever's at fault for this, and if it's both sides, you got to figure it out, man, because I don't want to fly to Miami and be embarrassed and waste my money.
Yep.
And if we make it past Michigan, I damn sure don't want to pay the money I'm about to have to drop for these national championship tickets
Right.
to fly to Indiana in January. I don't know if you've ever been to the Midwest in the wintertime, but I don't think it's going to be a fun trip for a lot of Southerners. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
you got to figure it out, man.
Well, and I guess do you think it's fair to lay some of the blame on Kirby for not having, or at least not investing, any time into any of the other quarterbacks when we had these blowouts going on?
I don't know. I don't know that I can blame him for that, because at the end of the day, Beck had his chance. Like it's been out there now. Beck had his chance UAB week. He blew it. And every time he gets out there, he does something that is like, bro, what are you doing?
Yep.
You're playing against the backups with better players, and you're throwing picks. Like, are you just out here because you're out here at this point, right? And I mean, I've heard that that Brock Vandegrift is like struggling with the playbook, which, to be fair, I feel like everybody struggles with the playbook their first year. And I don't think that is such a complicated offense. I think it's just a lot of plays to learn. He probably has paralysis analysis as a freshman of like what exactly he should do. I think probably by this time next year, or probably the fall next year, he'll be humming. But I mean, it's a lot to put on a freshman, man. And so I don't know that, like, to be fair, I've said if we're going to play Stetson, we might as well play Vandegrift at this point. But I don't know that you can blame a coach for not getting the third and fourth guy on the depth chart reps, because pretty much if you're down that far on the depth chart, unless you're Ohio State in 2014, you're screwed.
Yeah.
So I don't know that I blame them for that. If anything, I would blame Monken for that, because he's a guy that's getting guys ready supposedly and putting them out on the field. So these guys are getting paid millions of dollars. I don't know what the reason is, but from the outside looking in, the math ain't mathing, and so they got to figure it out.
Real quick, who do you think? I think they play Oregon next year. Who'd be your pick right now? Who probably takes a snap in 2022? And I know that we're going to have some guys probably leave back, maybe JT. Who would you say if you had to pick? And there's going to be another Bennett year, because I know everybody wants to just go face plant 3 years of them.
Well, I mean, if you think about it, Oregon's probably not going to be that good next year. So they might go conservative. They'll have a redshirt freshman or true sophomore. I don't know what that kid that they signed that was highly rated, if he played a lot this year. They're losing a lot of young players. I mean, a lot of older players this year. Thibodeau's gone. They'll get Sewell and Flo back on defense. But I think they're probably losing a good bit in their secondary. And none of their receivers scare me. You got Verdell. What's the kid's name? Is it Verdell? The running back coming off a knee injury. I don't know that they're going to be that big of a threat. So they might roll Stetson out there because they don't think they're going to be able to compete. But if I had to put money on that, I'd say someone out the portal. Well, probably need some money out the portal, man. I just don't know that Like I already got tickets to that game, and I don't know that I probably end up selling my ticket to the game if they tell me Stetson Bennett starting that game. I'm like, I'm not going. And it's down the street. I'm just not gonna go.
You think Daniels is done in uniform?
I don't know, man. I think we will see. December 31st will tell you a lot. If he's not playing December 31st, he gone.
And you mean by playing, you mean like in any capacity, even if it's like, just reps towards the end of the game, or are you saying
like if he doesn't start or get in because Stetson stinks, he gone. Because then at that point they're telling you we're not playing this guy for no reason.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Well, I think that's all our nightmares there, but it is what it is. All right, transition in to Georgia, Michigan. We're in the Orange Bowl. It's going to be Coral Gables. Michigan, the same one as the hottest teams. They smoked Purdue. I think it was not Purdue, Iowa. I'm sorry, 42-3. That was kind of hard to watch, but
I fell asleep on
it. There you go. Yeah, I was listening to Georgia stuff post game. I always go all in. Hugh, you might know. I've heard this real quick. 7.5 point spread. I'm sure it'll change, but I heard these tickets are some of the highest of all time. Have you seen it? Like crazy.
Yeah. I don't know the crazy of all, like highest of all time, but they're pretty damn expensive. I think last I looked, it was like $1,800 on the lower level club side for Georgia, like lower level field side for Georgia. So prices are pretty hefty. I mean, I'm gonna give you guys a pro tip. If you're buying on the secondary market, wait till the last week.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah. Don't panic and buy the first week because you're gonna get got. But yeah, tickets are pretty high. They're more expensive than the Bama Cincy game.
Yeah, looking at it, it's going to be New Year's Eve, 7.5 point spread. I think this is a great matchup for us. I know a lot of people are saying that Cincinnati plays us. That they played us last year. They got a mobile quarterback that gives us problems. That this could be the better matchup. But more and more I hear about it. The Hutchinson kid getting he's getting invited to New York. They have some really good, defensive linemen. I know Haskin kids is good. It's going to be tough to run against us. The McNamara kid doesn't scare me. Really no vertical. He's not real mobile. So what's your thoughts on the initial matchup?
I think this might come back to bite me. I think Hutchinson's all hype. I think the other kid on the other side is actually the better player.
The defensive end?
Yeah. Ogbo or something. Jobo or something. I think he's probably better. But Hutchinson has a name. He has the hype behind him. I mean, he produces. I just don't think he's what everybody's making him out to be. I look at it this way. I don't foresee that being a big issue if we're healthy on the offensive line. I've said this to Michigan fans. Who name the first round or second round tackle that those guys have faced this year? I don't know. Maybe the left tackle from Ohio State. But I don't think they played anybody worth a damn to block, right? And this isn't the Big Ten. There will be no snow in this game. And we will run at you. just like they like to run at people, we'll run at them. And so we'll see if they get punched in the mouth and they taste their own blood, if they like it or not. I think it's going to be a tough game. And I called this last week or week before last. This is the first time that Georgia will play top 10 defenses all year. And so Bama was the first one. Michigan will be the second one. If somehow Cincinnati pulls it out and beats Bama, they'll be the third one. And so these are going to be tight games. I don't think Michigan offensively has the firepower outside to make this game a shootout. I know Gaddis just won the Royals Award, but none of their receivers scare me. And those running backs are tiny, man. Like click on Haskins. I don't think he's 205 pounds.
Yeah, he's a small guy.
Oh, he's big. He's a big kid. He looks small on TV. But I like if you're averaging 4.9 yards a carry in the Big Ten, I don't know that you're gonna do much versus Georgia, man. Like 4.9 yards a carry is pretty pedestrian. And then Corum's pretty good. I think he's the faster of the two. And Haskins just pounds everybody because he was definitely the hammer in the game for them versus Ohio State. So I mean, we'll see. But if they can't throw the ball, I'll say they're probably a more talented Kentucky team.
Best thing I heard was Aaron Murray said they're a poor man's Georgia.
Sure.
How about I was listening today. It might have been Chris. Who's the Fox analyst on Big 12? Chris Platt. He used to play at Joel Flatt. He was saying he says I would pick Georgia, but I see this like a 1998 college football, like 17-10 game like that. And he says Michigan has one of the best offensive linemen in the nation. How you like the matchup against our D line coming off, getting pushed around? I don't know. They said that. I'm like, all right, I didn't know their line was that good. Maybe Big Ten wise.
I mean, they're giving up less sacks per game than us, right? But barely. But the question still is like, who have they played? Like, what pass rushers have they faced? What defenses have they faced that can put that type of pressure that can make them wrong when they're blocking? Do they have the offensive line to deal with our athletes? We're going to be the biggest defensive line, biggest front seven that they faced all year. So it'll be a test. It's going to be strength on strength. But I just don't see it in a non-cold weather game. If they can't throw the ball on us, it's going to be a long damn night.
Yeah, I'm not scared of the McNamara kid. Not real mobile. Not kind of reminds you maybe kind of like a Fromm, something like that.
I don't even think he's a Fromm. He reminds me of Hudson Mason.
Okay.
Like he'll do enough to not lose, but not enough to win. You know what I'm saying? So that's who I would compare him to. I don't think his arm is elite. I don't think he does anything amazing. Like you look at the numbers.
Yeah.
He has worse numbers than Stetson.
Yeah. I think his last game's like 169 yards against Big Ten, like average, something like that, which isn't great.
Yeah, and then they got the kid McCarthy that played at I want to say he played at IMG last year. He comes in and runs for him. So if you got what they say, if you got two quarterbacks, you got zero.
Definitely.
So we'll see. I think it'll be a good game. My buddy is a Michigan alum. He lives in Miami. It's his birthday on the 1st. So we'll see if he's enjoying his birthday on the 1st.
There you go. How about real quick, offensive wise, how you like the matchup? If we do roll Bennett, and do we need to try to take more shots downfield and not strictly go to Bowers, or can we establish the run?
They don't have anybody. I think their best defender is Daxton Hill, or their most athletic defender. Let's put it like that. Right. I don't know who they have that's going to deal with Bowers in the middle, to be honest. But I don't want us attacking the middle with Stetson. I want us to get matchups outside with Bowers, let Big Darnell bully them in the middle too. But if one is playing, one needs to have 12 to 15 targets.
I was about to say, more Jones, you think he'll be ready by then, or 3 or 4 weeks?
Oh, yeah. He got a whole nother month to like for his knee to feel better. You got what 10 to 15 practices between now and that game. If one is playing, we need to be throwing it to one. That was another thing that pissed me off about Saturday. It was like, what is he out there for if he's not going to get if we're not throwing the ball? Yeah. But also, he got a 50-yard catch on McKinstry to like start the game. Why aren't we exploiting that matchup the rest of the game? Like it's like, oh no, they're gonna know what we're doing. So what? Let them stop it. Yeah. Like, and that's my philosophy. You can know what I'm doing. Can you stop it? Like, I don't care if you know what I'm doing. Can you stop me from doing it? If you can't, then I'm gonna keep doing it, right? So I would be feeding 1-7. We need to tighten up this receiver rotation. We are substituting way too much.
I agree. Yeah, exactly.
Like the receiver rotation needs to be George, Burton, Kyrus, Ladd, and AD, and barely AD, and that's it. That's all, in my opinion, for the rest of the season, because nobody else has proven that they're going to go out there and make plays consistently, and we need to run it down their throats. Definitely get Cook lined up on one of their linebackers, and let our playmakers make plays. Our 3 touchdowns were our playmakers making a play with the ball in their hand, and Big Darnell making somebody look like a toddler in the back of the end zone.
Right.
Like, it's not a hard game, man. Football is a simple game. It's about matchups. I knew that the Broncos were going to lose to the Seahawks when they got blown out in the Super Bowl because it was a bad matchup. If you like, we have more talent than them, so we should not be losing. And they're not, like, we're not Ohio State. They're not going to run on us. Not with those running backs. They don't have a Bryce Young back there that's going to make a play with the ball if we get pressure. So God bless them if they try to run on us.
How about the mental mindset coming off getting blown out? I think it's the 6th time you lose. I know Kirby they said he was excited and in a good mood on Sunday on the conference call, I think, because he saw and met with them, and they said they were in good spirits. What do you think about mindset, and what do they need to do to try to, be ready for Bama?
Keep the main thing. I think part of this was kids feeling themselves, right? Reading press clippings. I think the rat poison was really a thing. Like, probably knowing that unless you got beat 50-0, you were going to be in, right? And I think some of that might have set in. Some of the, like, overconfidence might have set in. The distractions of the city might have set in, from what I've heard. And I don't know how true that is. I don't think it's true, but I think they've been humble. And if this team is who Kirby has said that they are, these players have said that they are, they're going to answer the bill. And Michigan might pay for it. Right. Now, I could be wrong. They could come out flat and Michigan knock their dick in the dirt. But I don't see that happening.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's hope so. And then how about maybe seeing, you do another good thing. We are a banged up team is getting another 3 or 4 weeks. How about maybe seeing like a Blaylock or Kendall Milton maybe down the stretch? You think he might be ready? Because that'd be another 3 or 4 weeks.
I could see Kendall getting in. I don't know, man. I'm not the biggest K-Mac fan, but the last 3-4 weeks, man, he's been doing his thing. And I think between the 20s, we need to put our guys out there that can catch the ball and run the ball, and you don't know which one they're going to do. And inside the 20s, we get those power backs. We have a Zamir and a Kendall. Let those guys go bloody somebody's t-shirt, right? And when it's the end of the game, 4-minute drill, rotate those bruisers in. But I think the game is played with speed and versatility, and we need to use the guys that give when they're on the field, they don't know if you're gonna run them or throw it. And so I think that's what we need to exploit.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
All right, real quick, we'll getting close here. We'll touch on the coaching. We like to call it coaching carousel, the coach move. What did you think about? I guess here's the rumor I heard Saturday night. And I even posted on 247. Some people say, "Hey, sure, I probably made Sean look bad because I was too early to the party, probably with the appetizers." But I sent, "Hey, looks like Lanning's going to Oklahoma," and I had a buddy from the dog vent. Anyway, bad rumor, probably my fault. That was me, Sean. I posted for Sean. But anyway, so Venerables gets it because for a while there, I'm like, all right, that makes sense why our defense looks shitty. Lanning was doing interviews and not focusing. But anyway, what's your thoughts on Venerable going to Oklahoma?
I guess those red flags have been keeping them from getting the job. That didn't happen. I don't see it, bro. I know he hired Levy, right? He hired Levy.
Right. Give him 3 years.
3
years, hot seat.
Yeah. I don't know that I would have took that job.
Yeah.
Like
coming to SEC too. Whew.
Yeah, like you coming to the SEC, you already don't lost receivers to the portal, right? I don't know what the talent. I haven't looked in a while, but I don't know that they have a lot of talent behind. I think Weiss already hit the portal. Jaden's already at Arkansas. And I don't know if I saw that Marvin Mims hit the portal too. And you lost Rattler. So who's your quarterback? Your quarterback has to be Caleb Williams if he stays, right? Right. He probably will stay with Levy because Levy, is, at Ole Miss and putting up numbers. But I just they don't have the defensive talent. Like at the end of the day, they don't have the defensive talent for it to matter. And coming in so late, there's not a lot of guys that are available. So maybe they'll pull something out of that hat because the Big 12 was so dysfunctional. They might win next year or the year after before they come over to the SEC, but I don't understand the hire. If you've been an offensive-minded team for the last 20 years, you're going to go hire a defensive guy?
Right.
Yeah.
You think he'll call his own plays or have his own OC or DC?
Let's see who his DC hire is. I don't know who his DC hire is. I think like most defensive coaches, he'll have a lot of say in what plays are being called.
Yeah. How about him as like a recruiter compared? I know Lincoln was great, but
Lincoln, I think him and Lincoln are probably about equal. I don't know that Venables is an elite recruiter. Yeah. He's got some guys, right? But I don't know that he was an elite recruiter as much as Clemson recruited very well, like from an efficiency standpoint. Like they wouldn't have big classes, but like they would have a lot of high-end guys. But like if you look at it from a defensive prospect standpoint, they just started getting those guys. Yeah. Like they were doing well on the D line. They were doing well at grabbing Georgia DBs out of the Atlanta area, but the linebackers were terrible until like the last 2 years. Like their linebacker recruiting was god awful. If you're starting guys like Braylon Spector and Skowski in the middle, that tells me you sucked at getting guys to play in your position. Like, so I don't know that he's this elite recruiter that they think he is.
Right. Sean, what'd you think about the Venerable's hire?
To me, I think that the Lincoln Riley thing caught them off guard, and they were just trying to make the best of the situation. Yeah. I thought, like Hugh, I thought maybe Lane might have been a little bit better fit because he's an offensive guy. If he can get, if he did get Levy, and if he can kind of get that defense rolling, it might be okay. But it's just, I think it's going to be one of those things where he's going to have to get, and maintain good offensive coordinators, good quarterback coaches, and then, really be able to recruit Texas hard for defensive line talent and DB talent.
Yeah. I mean, I think he'll win some battles for sure. I don't know that he is any better of a recruiter than Lincoln was, like from an offensive standpoint. And I don't know that Levy's that great of an offensive recruiter, to be honest. So
yeah, true.
Because I mean, who has he recruited to Ole Miss? I don't know anybody. So we'll see. That one's a we'll see for me.
How about on the flip side? Is this a big offseason for Dabo at Clemson? Because they got to get a DC and OC, so he might be.
Yeah. Well, I mean, did they name Elliott the coach of UVA yet? I know he's the front runner. I know that. I saw that earlier.
That was rumored. Yeah, not.
I said this last year. If anybody follows me on 247, they know I have a hate relationship with Clemson. And I troll their board, where I've trolled their board before. And I wrote a post when they lost to Ohio State last year and told them that their dynasty had came to an end. I look like a savant now. I don't foresee Dabo making a lot of changes. I'm pretty sure he's going to promote Reed to D coordinator from within. And Tony Elliott was garbage, to put it lightly. So Streeter probably is going to be the OC. He's already the quarterback coach, so it only makes sense. I just don't know that they're going to be able to recruit like they've recruited the last 3 years after that title. The last 3 years has been good to them because they won that title in 2018, and they've been living off of that. Well, now they're coming off a 9-3 season, and
they're going to the Cheez-It Bowl,
and they look vulnerable. So I don't know, man. I just don't. I don't think Clemson is going to be Clemson ever again. Honestly, like they better hope that the Klubnik kid, or however the hell you say his name, Klubnik from Texas, better hope he comes in and lights the world on fire, because they already lost Tyson Palmachild to the portal. So who's DJ's backup? And unless they do something different, I don't think 50% and one touchdown and one interception is gonna get it done for them next year.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Should be interesting. I think it'll help out Georgia in recruiting too. Maybe we can get some of this D line and all those guys they used to.
Maybe we'll see, man. With all the great recruiting that A&M is doing, I don't know if there's any more D linemen left. Jesus.
Yeah, it's true. And I don't know if you saw this, but it looks like Corey Raymond's going to Florida.
I did see that. I saw that. That's gonna make it tough in Florida. But I mean, maybe not. They might get some DBs, but the way Napier starting off, they had their 3 highest remaining commits decommit in the last 24 hours. You had Chandler Smith, the quarterback Nick Evers, and Jaden Gibson. So you had 2 receivers and a quarterback decommit. So I don't know what he's doing down there. Everybody's like, oh, this is gonna be another Kirby. I guess. I guess. I mean, but to be fair, Florida hasn't had under Mullen hasn't had the reputation of really recruiting elite players. So for all we know, those players actually suck. So, or suck relatively, because they're kids, so they don't suck, but they're not SEC elite caliber players for all we know.
Right.
And he's just like, y'all can go do what you want to do.
And what about Cristobal?
Yeah.
I thought it was another surprising move taking the Miami job.
Yeah, there you go.
So I'm not surprised because I did an argument with somebody the other day about Miami versus Oregon as a job. One, I think his window in Oregon with Riley coming to USC, he saw that window closed like that. Like that window closed fast. But I think and this is a big if Miami is investing in the way that it looks like they're investing by hiring Radovich, it could be a problem for the ACC. It could be a problem because if they're investing in recruiting and coaching staffs and putting the money, Cristobal's from Miami. He played in Miami. He coached at FIU. He was recruited well on staff at Bama. I think he's probably got a few kids out from Florida up to Oregon. He could put a barrier on South Florida for a lot of people. I think he's definitely better than Cristobal. I mean, not Cristobal, but Diaz. He's definitely an upgrade from there.
And then real quick, how about if you're Oregon, who would you look at?
Chip Kelly? I don't know, man. That's tough, bro. Like, it's so crazy. Like, because all this is a function of the early signing period, right? So you got to get your coach in immediately. I don't know that there's anybody good. Like, who do you go get? Like, who? Like, you're gonna go ask Chip Kelly to leave UCLA? He's not gonna do that. Right. I don't know that there's anybody. Maybe get PJ Fleck. I don't like that. To me, that would be a good hire because he's outside the box guy. He has a brand. Trying to think of an offensive guy that would be a good fit in Oregon. I don't know. You probably have to hire one of these OCs, these high flying OCs, because Jim Knowles left Oklahoma State and now he's the DC at Ohio State. So I guess they're going to be better on defense next year.
Joe Brady.
No. Hell no. I would love to have him as the pass game coordinator and receivers coach at Georgia, though.
Oh yeah.
But
he loves him.
But maybe they're gonna have to think outside the box, man. I don't know that. Maybe they throw some money at Harsin, get him to leave Auburn.
That's cool.
Maybe get Gus to leave UCF. I just honestly I don't know. You're gonna have to get a West Coast guy.
How about that rumor about Coach O? No, too much circus.
Nah. I don't see Coach O leaving Louisiana for a while to like coach anybody. I honestly don't. I don't know anybody that's out there that's worth. Yeah. Or like they're in trouble. Like this domino effect. I wasn't even thinking about Oregon, but they got screwed.
Yeah. Huh. And how about as Georgia fan, any maybe distractions with any coach carousel at Georgia? You think Monken or Lanning? I know Lanning's been rumored. Do you think they keep
I don't think we have to worry about any of our guys leaving for head coaching jobs.
Okay.
But we might have some guys leave for some coordinator jobs. I could see Shu if Lanning doesn't leave to take another coordinator job or head coaching job somewhere. I could see Schumann leaving, which I would hate because I think he's our best recruiter on defense, followed by Trey Scott. I know that's a hard thing to hear for a lot of people, but I think Trey Scott's probably a rising star as far as defensive line recruiting.
Yeah, I'm finally coming around to that. I think we argued on 247 about that, and I was wrong.
Yeah. But
Cortez Hankton leaves. I know that's Sean's boy.
Yeah. I look. As a black man, I'm never gonna ask for another black man's job, but something's got to give, man. I'm tired of seeing, hey, we're leading for this 3-star receiver, this diamond in the rough. Okay, thanks. Can I get Luther Burden or Evan Stewart, please? Like, I'll take the elite guy That's maybe a little bit of a red flag, so we can get some plays. It's worked out for us so far with George.
There was, I heard, who were they saying the other day?
I think we mentioned Hazelwood too, actually. Speaking of guys that didn't come around, to me, like it's even further salt to the wound that he ended up at Arkansas, because it's not like they throw the ball all that much.
Well, they threw it enough, but you also got to think that had nothing to do with recruiting. Jaden's former high school head coach is the running backs coach at Arkansas. Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, like that had like when I remember, because I remember seeing the guy when they were playing Bama, and I was like, that guy looks familiar. So I went and looked him up on the on their website and their staff. I was like, oh. And so when Jaden went in the portal, I was like, oh, he going to Arkansas. It's easy. Like that guy, he won a state championship with. So he going go holler at his old football head coach, man. That was a no-brainer.
Awesome. You got anything? I know it's getting late here. You got anything else, Sean?
I think that's it.
Awesome. Well, Hube, appreciate you really coming back on and giving us support too.
No problem, man.
Hopefully we might have you. I know we might have you next week for hit you up on National Signing Day. Any real quick visits or names that Georgia really needs to look at? Who's on your wish list? Like I'd love to have them. Or is there like an outside the box guy? Like, all right, we got a shot, but you never know. I know there's some big recruits coming in town.
I know Jaden Gibson, 6'4", 6'5" kid, Florida legacy. He said that tonight that he just decommitted today.
Oh.
He said he's visiting this weekend. Shamar James, really want that kid. He reminds me a lot of Tyndall, as far as just being an elite athlete. And I think he'll have his head on straight. We could talk about why I think that offline, because that's none of my business. But we need to get Kamari. He's supposedly coming here. My wish list is Shamar Stewart. I think we are hurting at 5'10", man. Yeah. And he said he's going to A&M this weekend. I don't know. We got to convince him not to sign because it's not looking good for us. But I want us to get some pass rushers, man. I think this defense, the reason this defense isn't elite right now is because we lost our best pass rusher. And that was my biggest fear coming into this season with all the attrition we had in that room with Jermaine leaving. It was like if Nolan or Adam go down, we are screwed. And so I think we need to put a lot of effort into that room. Coincidentally, that's Lanning's room. And get some guys in that room that can go make plays. Marvin Jones Jr. We need pass rushers, man. So if those kids see us, Marvin Jones, we need
Shamar Stewart.
We need you more than Bama does. You see, we're this close, man. We need you to come over here. We might need to go get some guys in the portal, but like I think from my perspective, we need those defensive guys, and we need to find a receiver, a big play receiver, man. Somebody that can stretch the field, or somebody that can replace what George does as far as going up and getting the ball. Because I underplayed it beginning of the season, and then I realized how much we miss having an eraser. Like a bad throw isn't a bad throw when you got somebody like George catching the ball, man.
How about, I know you brought up the mental issue. It made me think about it and bring it up. Any chance, I know he's done this year, any chance Eric Gilbert next year, you think that kid's done? I know that was one that
I don't know.
Said his name at all. I mean,
that's a mental health issue, supposedly. So I don't know. I'm operating off the fact that off the thought that he's never going to play for Georgia if he plays football again. If he does, that would be a happy surprise. But I also don't think that Eric Gilbert is a receiver. I think he is a flex tight end, similar to Brock. And I mean, is he going to be better than Brock? I don't know. So, is he going to play? I don't know. You put him in the red zone and throwing the ball, but unless he's going to drop 30, 40 pounds and get faster, I just don't see him being a receiver and being a factor that way. I mean, I could be wrong. I've been wrong a lot. So, but I just don't see it, man. I think we need to focus on going and getting somebody out of the portal that's a playmaker and getting a young playmaker on the outside that's going to be able to make our offense be Bama-like.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we appreciate it. Make sure to like and subscribe, Herschel Talkers. And it's another good episode. Hope everybody has a good night.
All right, guys.
See ya.
See you.